Hi guys, I hope you're all keeping really well. Yeah, I'm back for another video, finds video of course. And this is just a wrap up of stuff that I've picked up over the last couple of weeks. Real mixed bag as usual, some online, a couple of CDs, and some finds from my good friend Ben from SJ Records. So yeah, okay, let's not beat about the bush and let's get straight into it. I'd just like to give a heads up for Richard McCook if he's watching. There are some jazz finds in here, so you might want to just, because I know that he does. So, but anyway, just thought I'd mention it. Okay, so a couple of CD finds first of all. First one was a real cheapie. This was an online buy. This is PJ Harvey, Stories from the City, Stories from the Sea. Yeah, I really like this album. I had a hankering to play it the other day, and I went through my CDs and I couldn't find it because I bought it when it came out. I really like the singles, Good Fortune and A Place Called Home. But yeah, the whole album's just fantastic. Yeah, it's one of her best in my opinion, if not her best. Yeah, anyway, so I couldn't find it. So I went and had a look online. I wanted to buy a vinyl reissue, but I don't know, I think they were like over 40 quid and I didn't want to pay that kind of money. So I found this special edition CD copy, which I think is pretty much identical to the one that I had originally. And it was, I think with the postage, it was about 3 quid, so dirt cheap. But yeah, really great album. I think there's a duet with Tom York on here as well from Radiohead. But yeah, it's just very melodic, just great songwriting. Apparently, it's based around her love of New York. She was spending a lot of time there, and it's kind of a bit of a homage to that city, hence the title. But yeah, really enjoyable and great to revisit it. Okay, now this one, this absolutely blew me away. This one. So some of you might recall I did a video a couple or so weeks ago, highlighting Tropicalia artists, Brazilian artists, and yeah, in the comments section, there was a guy who I assume is Brazilian, who clearly obviously watches my channel. I don't know whether he subscribes to me or not, or whether he just found the video and was interested in it because of the title. But he actually mentioned in the comments that I should check out a few other albums and records by other artists, and not just the Tropicalia artists or Tropicaliaists. And this was one that he mentioned. So this is Milton Nascimento and Leo Borges, and this is Clube de Esquina, which is apparently, it was a sort of musical collective of artists that were separate to the Tropicalists, even though Milton Nascimento is from that same kind of, he's in the same age group as Gil Gilberto, George Ben, Caetano Veloso. Yeah, and these group of artists have a very distinct kind of feel, that they're different to the Tropical artists, not quite so sort of that psychedelic sort of feel, although there are elements of that on this. But yeah, what a record. This is a double album. This is from 1972. And I think the songwriting is kind of shared with various artists, including Milton and Lowe himself. Lao. I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced. My apologies to any Brazilian or Portuguese people watching this. As I say, murdering the pronunciation there. So as I say, my apologies for that. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I knew the song "Tudo que Você Podia Ser," which I already had a couple of versions of that from other artists, and always really enjoyed that. Great to hear the original with Milton singing it. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many different styles on this record. You go from sort of ballads to very upbeat, sort of psychedelia, jazz, progressive sounding, pop set, some with a sort of pop sensibility, just absolutely just stunning, breathtaking. Every single turn, every track, it was just totally unexpected. Yeah, and I would immediately put this into my top sort of 10, 15 albums I've ever heard. I think just fantastic. If you can get a copy of this, I tried to get it on vinyl. It's out of print at the moment, or I certainly couldn't get a copy. But I ordered it online, found the CD. I think it's a Japanese copy, even though it came from a seller in Germany. Yeah, really highly recommend that if you've not heard it. So that's Milton Nascimento, Lobos Clube da Esquina. Fantastic stuff. Okay, another online buy from completely different now, from a progressive folk band that I'm always collecting. I think I have pretty much their entire discography now. This was a later one of theirs that I didn't have, that I've looked at various record fairs over the years, not been able to find it. Always remember a mate of mine had this and I used to really enjoy it. Heard it back in the day. So this is Pentangle and this is In the Round. So this is from 1986 on Making Waves. Yeah, so this is latter day Pentangle, after the departure of John Renbourn, but Bert Jansch, Terry Cox and Jackie McShee are still in the band. Wonderful, distinctive vocals from Jackie. Bert sings a couple as usual as well. Yeah, some really nice songs on this. Chase That Devil Away is fantastic. Cieux la Gras, Circle the Moon, the sort of a version of She Moved Through the Fair, which is kind of standard fare for a lot of folk artists. So everybody does a version of that. But yeah, really nice to find, and came with a lyric inner. And yeah, probably paid a little bit more with the postage than I wanted to pay for it, but it's a really nice copy, sounds great. And yeah, glad to finish that off. So I think that pretty much, apart from comps, that finishes my Pentangle discography now. Okay, so another online buy. This is a reissue. I've tried to find originals of this, gave up, and eventually succumbed to a reissue. This is Tim Hardin 2. So Tim Hardin's second studio album from 1967. Fabulous. Yeah, Tim Hardin, wonderful folk troubadour style singer, songwriter, just wrote classic songs from the period that have been covered by all kinds of artists, including Rod Stewart. And I think the Small Faces did a cover as well. So you got kicks off with If I Were a Carpenter, fantastic classic song that's been covered loads of times. Red Balloon, which I think the Small Faces did a cover of. That's a fantastic song. Black Sheep Boy, which I think Scott Walker covered. Speak Like a Child, It's Hard to Believe in Love for Long, tribute to Hank Williams. Yeah, not a bad moment on this very, very short album though. I think it's barely 30 minutes, reproduced on that Tan Verve label. Sounds lovely though, really, really nice, so glad to get that. Okay, going back to the Brazilian artists and a Tropicalia artist who I've shown before. I think this is Gilberto Gil with Os Mutantes. So this is a reissue of, I think, his debut album from 1968, I think. Obviously a sort of real stalwart of the Tropicalia movement, Gilberto Gil, with playing with Os Mutantes as a kind of house band, doing all the backing, and it just works fantastically well. This is just so vibrant, upbeat, poppy, psychedelic. It's quirky, fun. The second side, I would say, is better than the first side. But yeah, I mean, again, there's kind of Beatlesy elements in there. Some West Coast sort of feel from the sort of psychedelic bands at the time, but with all those kind of samba Brazilian rhythms, and it's just wonderful. Really, really enjoyable. Yep, glad to get that one. Okay, so now we're moving to the dark side with some jazz finds. So anybody who's not into jazz can switch off now, or but anyway, yeah, so I was watching a video from Steve Carlson the other day, and he's a big Miles Davis fan. He's shown a lot of his records over the years, and I wasn't a Miles Davis fan at all. In fact, I mean, considering I like a lot of jazz from that period, just Miles's stuff, from what I've heard, I just didn't enjoy. I found it quite dissonant, not terribly musical, and just didn't move me enough to want to investigate it. But he showed this one the other day, and I thought I'd give it, from his description, I thought I'd, give it a try. So this is In a Silent Way, and I really, really enjoyed this. It's very sort of not soporific exactly, but it's very laid back, quite melodic, kind of hypnotic. Just a beautiful late night listen. Really, really nice, smooth playing. So you got like Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea, Wayne Shorter, John McLaughlin, yeah, all the jazz greats from that period on here. And yeah, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily made me a convert to Miles, but I'm certainly there's clearly albums out there that he's done that are in my wheelhouse. So yeah, I'd be interested to explore and hear maybe of some others. Sorry about the glare, by the way. It's still in the shrink. It only came today, so I haven't managed to open it. But yeah. So thanks, Steve, for the heads up on that one. Okay, this one was glad to pick up. Really, really enjoyed this. I've got a couple of Lee Morgan's albums already, the classic ones, yeah, Sidewinder and Cornbread. This is one that was on Amazon and was fairly cheap. So I streamed it and really enjoyed it. Yeah, I think at the insistence of the record company, I'm sure I read that somewhere that after the success of Sidewinder, he was encouraged to do a kind of long first track where there was a kind of bit of a funky kind of groove, which is what I always pulls me in about Lee Morgan stuff from this period and a bit earlier. And yeah, the title track Caramba is no exception. Really great, kind of slightly Latin feel. Just great groove though, and lovely trumpet motif. Really enjoyable, and yeah, and lovely front cover. Obviously, that's not Lee himself, but very attractive lady, and yeah, I'm not actually sure who she is actually. Doesn't actually say, it just says cover photo by Charles Keddy. So if anybody knows who she is, I don't know whether maybe that's his, was that his wife or something, girlfriend, I don't know. Maybe somebody can mention it in the comments. But it's an enjoyable listen anyway, so glad to add that to my jazz collection. Okay, and then I got another heads up from a friend of mine who listens to and shows a lot of jazz on Facebook. He's an old friend of mine, and he showed this Tone Poet edition of John Coltrane's Blue Train, which is a real favourite of mine. I had a really horrible sounding reissue from about 2017 or something. It was really crackly and not great. And when he showed this Tone Poet, I was very interested in getting it. Problem is, of course, is that they're, as a lot of you know out there, they're not cheap. They sometimes anything can be up to 40, 50 quid. I think the Mingus ones I got last year were nearly kind of nearly 50 quid a piece, just crazy priced. But this was he messaged me in the comments, told me that I think it was about 22, 23 quid, which is really good price for this kind of, tip-on jacket, loads of really interesting photos, lovely photos of the band there, and really lovely quiet pressing, just wonderful. Yeah, and yeah, great listen. So really pleased to get that one. Okay, the last online one now, and then there's just a few from Ben's shop. So Roy Harper. I love Roy Harper, as you all know. His last album, Man and Myth, I've really struggled to get a vinyl copy of because it came out in 2013, I don't know. I've just found it very difficult. I don't know whether how many were pressed, whether it was repressed since. I don't know the pressing history of it. But it came out on Belly Union, I ordered a copy from America last year because I couldn't find one in the UK, and I think it got lost in the post. So it was I waited about three weeks plus for it to arrive, and it didn't. So I ended up ordering a CD copy of it, which is great, no problem there. But then I got tipped off from somebody in the Roy Harper Society that there was one available from a market seller on Amazon. So I went straight on, and lo and behold, managed to snag it. So yeah, this is over 2 discs. With lyrics on the gatefold. And yeah, it actually comes with a CD copy as well. So I've now got 3 physical copies of this record. So yeah, careful what you wish for, as they say. But yeah, what a stunning swan song, if indeed it does turn out to be his last studio album. There's often a lot of people saying, oh, when's Roy going to come back? When's he going to do another album? The guy's over 80. He's done, over, 25 plus studio albums. He owes us nothing. He has this incredible body of progressive folk rock, just amazing music, beautiful, poetic, poignant lyrics. He's a unique performer, like nobody else. And if this does turn out to be his last album, well, so be it. He's left an incredible legacy of work. So yeah, really, really delighted to finally get that on vinyl. Okay, so just how are we doing for time? 21 minutes. God. Okay, so just a few finds that I picked up today from Ben's. So yeah, nothing that he sent me this week that he thought I particularly like. So just dropped in just to say hello, and a few sort of collection fillers, I guess, really here. So this was quite a nice find. This is actually a promotional copy of Imperial Bedroom. So this is Elvis Costello and the Attractions 1982 album. And I've heard a few people in the VC talking about this recently, which sort of piqued my interest in it. I think my brother had this back in the day. I never really listened to it though, and I didn't really remember it. I know some of the songs like Man Out of Time, Beyond Belief, The Loved Ones, You Little Fool, which I've heard on kind of compilations, so on. But I've never actually kind of sat down and listened to the album. It's some people repute this to be his best album, but obviously I'm yet to decide that for myself. But yeah, nice to get a really pristine copy of it, with the original inner, kind of die cut inner there. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to kind of absorbing this. I have a kind of love-hate relationship with Elvis Costello. I love his early albums, and particularly Armed Forces, and then after that, yeah, sometimes I can kind of take or leave some of his stuff, but there are some of his 80s albums I think which are fantastic, like Blood and Chocolate. I really like, and yeah, I'll be looking forward to really giving that a good spin and absorbing that. So yeah, that's Imperial Bedroom, Elvis Costello and the Attractions. Okay, this was a real cheapie. Didn't have any of her music on vinyl or CD or in any format. This is a lovely original. And my mum was cooing when I brought this home. She really likes this singer. So this is Lena Horne, and yeah, that classic song version of Stormy Weather. And she's also doing Summertime, Mad About the Boy, Baby Won't You Please Come Home. This is lovely original on that wonderful RCA monochrome label. So this is from, is there a year on this? I don't know, but I would wager this is early 60s. I haven't done my research very well, unfortunately. So, but yeah, I mean, for what, I don't know, £5 or £6 I paid for this. Well pleased to pick that up, and yeah, we'll look forward to definitely giving that one a spin. Okay, and then this one, pleased to get. Don't have too much of this guy's material on vinyl or CD, although I've got, I think, a couple of compilations. This is a reissue of, I believe this is his first album, so this is David Graham, and this is The Guitar Player. I believe this is all instrumental, so fantastic. But yeah, I mean, that's what you really want from David Graham, being such an innovative guitar player, influencing a lot of folk artists, Bert-Jan Sharper, yeah, loads of artists that came after him. Fantastic, always enjoy his playing, fantastic stuff. Yeah. Okay, and then the last one was just a real collection filler. It's Caribou, Elton John. I used to have a reissue, really horrible reissue of this from the 80s. It sounded dreadful. I always like the Bitches Back. And obviously you've got the other big hit, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, which I kind of got a bit sick of, really. I don't think it's one of his best albums, if I'm honest, but it was just in that kind of 68 to sort of 75 period of his that I like, and I usually stop. Well, I do stop after that. So it was just one that I needed to fill the gap. Yeah, and it's a nice copy, and it was really, really cheap. So happy to have that. Okay, so that's it, guys. Yeah, hope everyone is keeping really, really well. We've got a little bit of summer back here in the UK. It's warm, very sticky. I have a fan on. Sorry if you could hear that in the background, but it's gets pretty warm up here in the pink attic in the summer. So I've got all the windows open and everything. So, but yeah, so off for the next couple of days. It's my son's 18th birthday, so we're going out and doing a couple of things as a family. Got a bit of a gathering tomorrow. So yeah, should be fun. Hope you all have a great rest of the weekend, and I'll speak to you all soon. Cheers, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.